Uh, Welcome back, guys. So now, what we will be doing now is we'll be doing some bit of integrated accounting, and post that we'll be looking into some examples. So that will be the end of your chapter. Um, so now, let me just explain you the way the entire system of integrated accounting will work. Now, now in our integrated accounting, let us just first try understanding what happens out there. Whether I'll be doing is I'll explain you the way entire factory works first so that you understand how the accounting would happen. We will be using a very small trick of accounting so that it becomes easier for you guys being a non commerce students to understand how this integrated accounting will completely work. Now, so first thing, we'll have stores department, we'll have labor department, and we'll have something called production departments. Then let's have one overhead departments. Now all my materials, hi guys, sorry, welcome back with welcome back. We, okay, sorry guys, had some issues with, is the voice fine? Just confirm on the audio clarity because there is something I cannot see from here, so if the audio is fine I can just start off with it. Superb. So we'll start off with integrated accounting. As I said, when I'm doing an integrated accounting, I'm majorly looking into doing only one set of accounting where I don't have to do both. So I'll be using a bit of accounting since you guys don't know what happens out there, and then we'll try figuring out how do we make it a little better. Now, what we will do is first we'll try understanding how this factory scenario works. How does each of the things work with regards to finding out a cost of a product? Now, the first thing is whenever I buy any material, let it be direct material or an indirect material, I will take everything to the stores department. I'll take everything to the stores department. Now, once, if you guys don't want to call it as stores department, we can call it as a MC. MC stands for material control department. So all raw materials are received by the material control department. Then anything got to do with my labor will go to the wages control department. So all my direct wages and indirect wages are going to be incurred in my which department? Wage control department. From there, what happens once I start my production? So these are my production departments. I'll call it P1, P2, P3. So whenever we require to produce something, my raw materials are going to be flowing from here to here, here to here, right? And wages will move from here, here, here. But what you guys need to understand is when I'm trying to produce a product, what goes into all of this is my direct material and direct wages, because I told you indirect wages is something I cannot trace it to a product. So all my indirect material and indirect wages will go to an account called as overhead control account. So what I will be doing is, now I want you guys to understand what happened here. I have received all the raw materials. All the raw materials I received is gonna be collected in which department? Material control department. Second, anything which I got to do with my labor, or whether it would be direct or indirect, shall be received by the wage control department. Whether direct or indirect, I'm again trying to clarify it. Once both are done, I'm doing my next step. My next step is basically to say what will happen is I'm going to start my production. When I'm going to start my production, I should be concerned about who's receiving the raw materials, who's receiving the direct wages, what will happen to my indirect material and indirect wages. So when I start my production, let's say the production department will place an order with a stores department, or we call it as the material control department, requesting to place an order of requesting that these are the goods I require. Once he says that these are the goods I require, what happens out there is the goods are going to go from material control to the production department. Next, from the when they say, hey, you know what, these are the people I require for them to work on this particular product, I shall be transferring my wages from my wage control department to the respective production department. My indirect wages and indirect material, whatever is left, are going to be kept in the overhead control account. So just once I want you guys to look into this diagram what's been drawn. So are you clear with all of this? So I told you guys the first one is the control department. So there are going to be material control department, wages control department, and the overhead control department. From there, the raw materials are going to be going depending on the production requirements to the production departments P1, P2, P3, and indirect wages are going to be moving into the overhead control department. So now I shall be asking some questions. I want you guys to put it across in the comment section with regards to it. Now, when raw materials are purchased, I want you to tell me which is the department which is going to be receiving it. Raw materials are purchased. Is it my material control department or is it my production department? I want you guys to answer this. Who's going to be receiving it? Is it material control or the production department? Okay. Aditya says material control. Bhavna says material control. No one thinks it's a production control. Okay, superb. So now what we call this production departments, I want you guys, either we can call them as production departments, or for all my accounting purpose, I will call them as WIP control account. Why do I call it as WIP is because to make it into a finished product, all my material will be moving into this. After it gets added with overheads, it becomes a finished goods. So here it is just that it's taking a shape of a product, but to know the final cost of a product, I need to add it to the overhead control. So I told you guys on the other day, to make a complete product, I require direct material, direct labor, direct expense. What do I call these three to be? Direct material, direct labor, and direct expense. What do I call direct material, direct labor, direct expense to be? Perfect. We call this to be prime cost. To know the final cost of a product, I need to add my overheads. Prime cost plus overheads becomes my total cost of a product. Superb. Are you clear till here? So now see here what is happening. This is the place where my direct material is going, direct expense wages is going. I will add up the direct expense a little later. Once I know this, once direct material, direct labor, direct expense come together, then it becomes my prime cost. Once I know the prime cost, I'll add it up with my overheads, and then it becomes my final cost of a product. Are you clear till here? If yes, just say yes so that I'll move to the next one, because I want you guys, since you're a non-accounting student, I'm going a little slow with it, uh, trying to just make sure how the factory works to make you guys understand, so it becomes easier for you guys. Correct, Aditya. So to find out the selling price, once I know the total cost, I will be adding up my profits to find out the selling price. Superb. Uh, can we go further? Now, I want you guys to now just understand what happens with each of these departments. So I told you I'm only taking one production department so you understand the direct cost. So I told you here, so I'll be drawing my four circles. So I want you guys to understand this department is my material control. This is my labor control, or we call it as the wage control. Here I will incur both my direct material, indirect material. Here I will incur both my direct wages, indirect wages. Now my direct material will move to the work in progress control account. My direct wages will move to the work in progress control account. My indirect material and indirect wages is going to be moving into the overheads control account, right? Till here, is it fine? Now if I have any direct expenses incurred, these direct expenses are for the purpose of my production. So direct expenses, I shall not have any circle. I will directly make sure that it is formed here. Clear? Any indirect expense that is apart from my indirect material or indirect wages will straight away be recorded here. This is the second thing of identification. Is this fine? Now I'll tell you guys how are we going to be doing an accounting. Now my focus will be more on who's receiving it and from where is it going. So I will be only focusing on the receiving and the giving part of the departments. So receiving and giving. So when I say raw materials are purchased, that means this will become the receiving department. what is going out is basically my cash. When I say wages are paid, who's the receiving department? Wage control. What is going out? Cash. When I say raw materials are transferred to production, who's the receiving department? WIP. Who's the giving department? When I say wages are transferred towards production, who will be the receiving department? Who's the giving department? I hope you guys are clear till here. Are you fine? Is there anything with it? Guys, I want you to just say yes or no so that I can recap it and then move further. If you have understood this entire flow, the accounting entries become very, very easy for you guys. Aditya, you want me to repeat the receiving and the giving or just the entire flow of it? Okay, cool. So I'll just recap for you guys. So listen the entire flow again. Uh, so I have the, sorry, I have the material. Okay. So first department what I have is my material control. Then I have labor control. Then I have production overheads. Then the last one is my production, or I call it as the WIP department. Now I told you the flow of it. First, my direct material and indirect material is going to be recorded here. Direct wages and indirect wages. My direct material will flow from here to here. My direct wages will flow from here to here. My indirect wages will flow from here to here. My indirect wages will flow from here to the overheads department. Now, when I say that accounting is happening, I'll be focusing more on the department which is receiving it and from where is it getting transferred or who's giving it. Is it fine? So when I say raw materials are purchased, when I say raw materials are purchased, the department which shall be receiving is my material control. And when I purchase raw material, what is happening out there? When I purchase raw material, for me, raw materials are coming in, but cash is going out. Or sometimes you might have bought a raw materials on credit. So you are gonna be buying raw materials are coming in, and raw material for that cash is going out. Second one is your wages. When I say you are paying for wages, for you are getting services of a wages, what is going out is the cash. Next, when I say raw materials are transferred to production, see here, my raw materials, that is my direct material here, is getting transferred to here. So who's the receiving department here? WIP. Who's giving it is my material control department. When I say direct wages are transferred to production, who's receiving it is basically my WIP department. Who's giving it is my labor control department. So till now, are you fine with it? Shivani, Aditya, and Vishwaraj, if you guys can confirm, I'll move ahead with it. Yeah, can we do so what we'll do is we'll go further of trying to do accounting with regards to it. So everyone just take down your books, and I want you guys to write down whatever I say, right, with regards to it. So let us do the accounting together. So the first introduction for you guys with regards to your accounting. So write this down. Purchased raw material on credit. Purchased raw material on credit. So when I said purchased raw material on credit, who's receiving it? Material control. What is going out for you is, when we say credit, that means I have not paid cash. We say you still have to pay them. We call it as payables. If instead of credit, if it was cash, we would have said cash. So see, for you guys, what are you receiving? Raw materials, and who's receiving it is the material control. If you have paid cash, cash is going out. If you have not paid it, you will be giving money later. So the journal entry for this is going to be receiving department, that is raw material control account debit. Debit is the term what we use in accounting for the receiver. To payables account. So raw material control account debit to payables account. Did you understand the first entry, how to do it? Guys, if you confirm whether you did you understand this journal entry. So receiving department, again I'm telling you, is uh, Aditya, just listen to it. Which is the department which is receiving it? The department which is receiving is the raw material control department. So we say raw material control account debit. And which is the department, uh, which is the department, or we say cash is going out, right? So basically, when cash is going out, that means we say it is credited. In accounting, we say it to be credited. So we say the journal entry like this: raw material control account debit to payables account, right? This is the receiving, we call it through debit, and this is the giving. So either I'm losing out cash, or since I'm not paying cash right now, I call it to be payables. Is this fine? Aditya, if you have confirmed, I'll go to the next one. Super. So now let me come to the second one. When when raw materials are issued to production. Now I want you guys to look at it. When raw materials are issued to production, who's the receiving department? Guys, comment on it. Who's the receiving department when raw materials are issued to production? Is it overhead or is it WIP control? Again, I'm asking, raw materials are issued to production. Who's the receiving department? Is it WIP, material control, or overheads? WIP, right? Super. So my receiving department will be, so the journal entry will be WIP control account debit. And who's the giving department? Guys, who's the giving department in this case? Is it material control or is it through payables? Super. To material control account. This is going to be your journal entry. Good job, Prakash, Bhavna, Aditya. So just see here what I did right now. I'm just trying to recap it. My raw materials was received here, and from here I issued it here. So when the raw materials were issued to material control, I told material control account debit to cash or payables. Since it was a credit, I called it as payables. Second one, I issued my raw materials from here to here. So my receiving department was basically this, and the department from where I gave was this. So what happened? My receiving department became WIP control account debit to material control account. Uh, is everyone fine till now with regards to this? Now I want you guys to tell me the third one. If indirect materials charged to production, indirect materials charged to production. So my question is, who will be debited? Is it production account, sorry, or we call it as WIP account, or is it gonna be production overheads account, or will it be material control account? I'll give you guys 5 seconds, put your comments on it. Indirect materials charged to production. Shivani says production overhead. Aditya says production overhead. Others, what happened? Confused? Others, are you confused with regards to this? Okay, Bhavna, just see here. I'm only doing something with regards to my materials. Just I'm gonna be doing materials. When I purchase raw materials, the journal entry becomes material control to payables or cash. So this includes when I purchase both my direct material or indirect material. Fine. So from here I'll be charging it to my production. We call it as WIP. Then I have overheads control account. Now I want you to look into this. When the goods are transferred from here to here, I told you to WIP I will be transferring only my direct material. Fine. And all my indirect material will get transferred here. Are you fine? So when I'm transferring my raw material, direct material from here to here, which is the receiving department? WIP, and the department which is giving is the material control. So it will be WIP control account debit to material control. When I'm saying indirect materials, the moment I say indirect materials, I said you what is indirect material. Indirect material is my total of all my, sorry, my, what is my overheads? Overheads is a total of all my indirect material, indirect labor and indirect expenses. So I shall be transferring my indirect material to what? To overhead control account. To my overhead control account. So what I will be doing is, now who's the receiving department? Overhead control account debit to which is the department? MC account. Fine. Does anyone have any issues now? Especially Bhavna, you said you got confused with it. Are you fine with this? Okay, super. So I want you to tell me what's going to be the journal entry for this now. What's going to be the answer for this? Indirect material charge to production. Indirect material charge to production. It's going to be production overhead control account debit. Production overhead control account debit to who's the department which is giving it? To material control account. Are you clear with all the three entries? Okay, now I'll give you guys questions. I want you guys to say which of this are right. Paid wages 25,000. This is the question. I want you guys to post your answers in the comment section now. Paid wages 25,000. What, who's going to be debited to whom? Paid wages 25,000. How many of you guys got this answer right? Uh, Say yes or no so that we can go forward with it. Super. Bhavna got it right. Vishal got it right. Others, what about Aditya, Shivani, Vishwa? Shivani also got it right. Super. Nice, Aditya. Sanath got it right. Superb. Okay, Karthik. Okay, cool. I think most of anyone who didn't get right, so that now let me go to the next one. Direct wages transferred to production 5,000. Direct wages transferred to production 5,000. What do you think is going to be your journal entry? Give you guys 10 seconds. Write it soon. Direct wages transferred to production. Okay, I'll write the journal entry. I want you guys to tell me whether this is right or wrong. Uh, okay, how many of you guys have got this right? How many of you guys got this question right? Shivani, Aditya, did anyone get it right, or are you guys confused with it? Banu, just so look into it. When I'm saying, see, when I pay money for the, did you get Banu and Bhavna? Did you? Okay, you guys are confused. So listen to it. When I pay direct wages, we said the journal entry will be what? Wage control to cash. So receiving department is what? Wage control. From this, the department which is going to be receiving, when I said direct wages charged to production, what is my production account? Is my WIP account. So who's receiving it? WIP control account is receiving it. And who's giving it? Wage control account. So you are basically getting, who's getting it is the WIP account. Who's giving it is the wage control. Are you guys clear with this? Aditya, Shivani, and Karthik. Okay. Next one. What if we say indirect wages charged to overheads. What will be the journal entry here? Indirect expenses charged to overheads. I'll write the journal entry, just let me know. Overheads control account debit. Sorry. Overheads control account debit to wage control account. Uh, how many of you guys got this answer right? Uh, how many of you guys got this answer right? If you're clear with it, I'll give you guys some examples. I want you guys just to tell which of the answers were right and which were wrong. Abhishek, Shivani, Banu, Prakash, Karthik. Are you guys clear with this, or you want me to repeat it again? Super. So now I'm just giving a small uh, recap of whatever we have done. So we'll move to one step further questions with it. So when I purchase raw materials, whether it is direct or indirect, all of this will come to material control account debit to payables. When will you write payables? Is only when you have not paid money. If you have paid money, you will write it as cash account. You'll write the amount whatever you would have paid it for on both the sides. Clear? From this, you will transfer it to two things. So if you transfer it to production, it will be called as WIP control account debit to material control. But if you are transferring the, this is when I transfer my direct material. When I transfer my indirect material, the department which will receive will be overheads control account to material control account. Guys, still your, is this fine with regards to the materials? Clear. The same thing, I'll do it for the labor now if you guys are clear with it. Now with regards to the labor, see here, whenever I pay wages, let it be direct wage or an indirect wage, both of it will go to the wage control account debit to cash or payables. From here, it will move to two different scenarios. That is, the first scenario is if it is direct wages, it will go to the, sorry, WIP control account debit to wage control. If it is indirect, it will go to which account? Indirect, it will go to overhead control account debit, overhead control account debit to wage control account. So are you clear with the direct material and direct materials and wages? Everyone, the moment you say yes, I'll move to the next set. We have only 5 more uh, entries left, so we'll be done with the chapter for today. Others, if you can just give a confirmation on the group so that it becomes easier rather than wasting our time out there. Cool. So now uh, comes the third category of my entries. Now, whenever there are some expenses which are directly incurred, so I'm talking of, I told you whatever is regards to the material will go to material control, whatever is regarded to the wages will go to. Now if there are any other expenses which are going to be incurred, so those will be my direct expense or an indirect expense. If there are any direct expense which are incurred for the production, if there are any direct expense incurred for the production, so I will not do anything else. I will directly give a credit to the WIP account. Whereas whenever there are some indirect expense, I will give a debit to the overheads account. So let me just take an example. See here. If I say electricity for production purpose, electricity for production purpose. Now electricity which is used for production purpose, uh, is it a direct or an indirect expense? Whenever I say an electricity I cannot trace it to a product, so it is part of my indirect expense. And I said any indirect expense I will, because it is neither part of material nor part of wages, I will directly give a effect to the overheads account. So my journal entry becomes overhead control account debit to payables or cash account. My overhead control account debit to overheads to payables or cash account. Is this fine? Aditya, yes, we keep a outflow of cash. Yes, but others, are you clear with this? What happens now? There is a new part of the chapter which I'm telling you now. I told you guys from my I have from material control, I have indirect material, then wage control will have indirect wages. All of this will go to the overhead control account. To make my accounting better, what I should be doing is I should be finding out which overheads are they. According to the functions, we divide overheads into production or administration department. Now, when I say electricity used for production, this is my production. When I say rent of an office, this will be part of the administration. So the same question, electricity charge for production purpose, instead of writing overhead control account, I will add the new one, production overhead control account. Clear? Now if I come and say this one, office expenses paid $3,000. When I say office expense paid $3,000, what is an office expense? Office expense is an administration expense. So the journal entry becomes administration overhead control account debit to cash or payables account. Are you guys clear till now? Uh, so I'm giving a small bit how it works. So last revision, two more entries and we are done with this chapter. So I have material control where I take care of direct material, indirect material. Then I have wage control where I take care of my direct wages, indirect wages. Correct? From here, direct material and direct wages will move to the WIP account, and here any direct expenses will get added here. Indirect material, indirect wages, depending on the circumstance, if it is production it will go to the production overhead account, if it is administration it will go to the administration overhead account. Clear? Now we learnt in overheads that we shall be using a predetermined rate. So from overheads I will transfer this to production overheads to WIP, because only after it gets WIP plus my direct expense plus my production overheads will become a new thing called finished goods. So now what happens here? My When I say overheads are absorbed by the production department, or we say overheads are absorbed, that means the receiving department will be WIP account debit to production overheads. So once it has been received by the WIP, now I have, if you see what all is got added to the WIP account: direct material, direct labor, direct expense, plus my production overheads. This we call it as finished goods. So from WIP it will move to the finished goods. So we say when trans units are completed, so I'll just write it down in the next one so it becomes easier for you guys. So when units are completed, we transfer goods from WIP to finished goods. So the journal entry becomes finished goods account debit to WIP account. So I explained two concepts. Once all the overheads are collected here, indirect material, indirect labor, other overheads, that will be transferred to WIP. So the receiving department becomes WIP account, giving department becomes production account. So the journal entry becomes WIP account to production overheads. Once that is done, goods are completed. Once goods are completed, it shall be transferred to finished goods. So the journal entry becomes finished goods account debited to WIP account. Are you guys clear till here? Yes, just comment it. So I have one last entry left, so we'll be done with this chapter. Guys, comment if say yes or no if you have a doubt. Others, super. Now last part. So from the finished goods, I still have to recover admin overheads. If you look into it, I only have transferred production to WIP, I have not transferred administration. So from finished goods, we transfer to something called as cost of sales. From finished goods, we transfer it to one more department called as what? Cost of sales. That is transferring finished goods to the cost of sales department. So the journal entry is basically cost of department account debit to finish goods account. Cost of sales department account debit to finish goods account. Done. From the cost of sales, we make a statement. We make a statement for finding out profit or loss. We make a statement to find out what? Profit or loss. Now see here, I have cost of sales, right? I will add administration. So when I'm adding administration here, the journal entry will become statement of profit or loss account statement of profit or loss account to administration overheads. To administration overheads, right? So now cost of sales and administration, this I compared with my sales value. The difference becomes my profit or loss. So guys, we are done with this chapter. There is something which I need to just explain in terms of under absorption or over absorption, which will be doing it later. But do let me know if you have any doubts, you want me to recap any of the topic, or else we are done with today's session. Aditya, I told you, right, the overheads, the administration overheads will go to the statement of profit or loss. Then you'll forget your total cost. Then you check it with your selling price, that becomes your profit. Yeah. Guys, let me know if you have any doubts, or else we are done with today's session. Uh, if you guys are comfortable with it, I'll do another session tomorrow or day after. Uh, and I'll meet you guys on Wednesday morning just to clarify all your doubts. Yeah. So, no doubts. Yeah. See, now you have your cost of sales. Cost of sales basically had your all your production overheads, direct material, direct labor, and direct expense. So I have the total cost what I've incurred till now. From the total cost what I've incurred, I still have to recover one more cost, which is my administration overheads. So I will add up the administration overheads. So once I add up the administration overheads, that becomes my total cost. Now from the total cost, I'll check the sales. How much sales did I make? Sales minus total cost will become the profit. Yeah, so that's what I told you. So if I've incurred a total cost of, let's say, 1 lakh, and I've sold for 1,50,000, I've made a 50,000 profit. So are you clear, Vishal, with this? Others, let me know if you have any doubt. The videos will be available for you guys by. Okay, Aditya, see you. So I have from the finished goods, I transferred it to the cost of sales. So in the cost of sales, I'm making cost of sales basically has what? DM, DL, direct expense plus production overheads. So I will check what are my sales. From that, I will reduce my cost of sales. I told you I still haven't recovered my administration overheads. So I'll recover my administration overheads. The total of all of this becomes my profit. Is that clear, Aditya? Uh, Vaishnavi, do you have any doubt? Karthik, Aditya, do you have any doubt? Abhishek, Banu, just let me know if you have any doubt. Vishal, Bhavna, uh, Shivani, these are the only guys who have been active online. Uh, If you do not have any doubt, so we can wind up this session today. No one has any doubt? See you guys then. Have a great time.